Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be reviewing all of the books that I read in the month of December 2025, the last month of the year. How exciting. I did finish 7 books, which is usually around my goal. I want to finish like 6 to 7. My average has been like, well, the range this year has been 5 to 10. I think I read 10 one month. No, 5 to 9. I think in November I finished off a lot of books that I had started and never finished. But anyway, 5 to 9 is what I'm going to say. So yeah, let's go over all the books that I read. Apologies if you can see the reflection. I just noticed that of the ring light. I'm trying to fix the lighting because it's so light in some of these videos, like the lighting, and I don't know why. So I think I just need to use the ring light as well as natural daylight. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's winter. Who knows? But let's go ahead and get started with the books that I read in the month of December. The first one being Conform by Ariel Sullivan. This was a new release. This came out, I believe, in October, potentially. November, maybe. It just says 2025 in here. Let's see if the release date is on my spreadsheet. It's not. But I know I used this for new release for Herkyed for one of the month. I think it's probably October. It's October because I also read a November new release in December. But yeah, so I finished the book Conform. It didn't take me too long to get through this. It was pretty fast paced. This one is about it's a dystopian. I don't know if this is considered YA or if this is considered adult. There was definitely like one scene, but I don't know what, like maybe it's young adult or something like that, but not young adult, but a new adult, or isn't that like a new thing, new adult? I don't know if that's actually new, but there's like one spicier scene, but it wasn't really much, and it was kind of like less than a chapter. So yeah. This is set in a dystopian world where humanity almost goes extinct, and then this people come in and create a new like hierarchy. So it's like the people who live on top of the tower, and then the people who live here, and then the people who live below ground too. The next book is actually called Beneath, and it's a prequel. I'm pretty sure it's coming out in May or March, I can't remember, but I definitely want to read it. I gave this a solid 4 stars. I thought it was pretty good. This is a love triangle trope, so if you don't love a love triangle, you might not like this. I love a love triangle personally, so I love that. Yeah, it was pretty good. It's about this girl who is chosen to reproduce. It's kind of like Handmaid's Tale dystopian, where she has like some sort of imperfection about her imperfection. I don't think it's a spoiler, but she has it. It's very minor, and it's not really considered an imperfection to us. I actually find it like very beautiful. Maybe that's the point, but she's chosen to reproduce with the first like of the higher beings in years, and it's kind of like how that is, and like how she like is like, should I accept this fate? Should I not accept this fate? And at the same time, there's a rebellion going on, and it follows that. So it has a lot of the most similar tropes that we see in like YA dystopian novels. But I really liked it. I thought it was really well done. Honestly, it wasn't like the most amazing book I've ever read, but it's a solid 4-star book. I liked it. And I read it pretty quickly, and it was very enjoyable. And if I enjoy a book, 4 stars. So at least. The next book that I finished was Baby X. This one I did on audio. I had a lot of traveling this month. I went to Maine and back, which is about 10 hours in the car, almost 11 hours in the car. So I spent a lot of time in the car. So I have a couple of audiobooks. I had bought this one last year, maybe at the end of 2024 on audio. They had a sale on Audible, and if they have like, $5.99 ebooks or Audible books, I grab them if I'm interested, and this is one I was interested in. This is sort of also a dystopian, but it's more science fiction-y dystopian. What did I call it? I think I called it sci-fi thriller. It also has a thriller aspect aspect to it. So this is set in the future when we can genetically modify babies before they go into the womb to be carried. And basically like having the normal way that babies are created doesn't happen very often anymore. People go to a clinic, they have their eggs and sperm taken out and then in a petri dish, and then they decide, okay, who's gonna have the sperm, who's gonna have the egg, because they can now turn eggs into sperm if you want to have a same-sex relationship, that kind of thing. Kind of cool. But it also creates some issues, and one being that celebrities are often having their DNA stolen. So it follows this major Hollywood actor, and he is basically just doesn't want his DNA to be stolen, so he has like a DNA person. And that turns into a love story, and then a person enters their life who says like, look, I was impregnated against, I thought it was the sperm of this person, but it's actually your sperm, and it goes from there. So it's very thrillery, and it also follows like the police and the FBI trying to find the people who created not this technology, but who created this thing called, I don't remember what it is, but it's like a black market sperm bank that steals people's DNA. So it's kind of like, if you like John Mars, or if you like Blake Crouch, this might be something you really liked. It wasn't quite as suspenseful and thrillery as that. There's definitely some scenes where you're like, whoa, 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 what's gonna happen here? But I found it really enjoyable. I gave it 5 stars, apparently. Maybe 4.8, I'm not sure, but I have 5 stars in my Herked thing. That's what I'm going off of to make sure I got every book that I actually read. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was really good, and maybe it's because I listened to it on audio, and sometimes when you listen to things on audio, it can like really get like into your head a lot more, for me anyway. But I enjoyed it very much. I thought it was really good, and yeah, if you're a fan of dark matter or Pines or The One by John Mars, this would be a really good read / listen for you. Okay, the next book that I finished was, I think my favorite book of the month, I, Medusa. This one I read on my Kindle. It was released in November, so it was my November new release, and it was really good. If you like Circe, Song of Achilles, Babylonia, which I haven't read yet, but I think it's kind of similar to that. It is the story of Medusa from like her birth to her death, and it's a retelling of the Greek mythology, and it basically is like kind of her motivations for being the way she was. It's very similar to Circe in that way, where Circe is told a certain way in the regular legend, and then you read Circe and it's like, okay, all of these different things make sense, kind of thing. And so it's her following her throughout her journey, from being just a regular daughter of some gods to a mortal daughter of gods to becoming Medusa as we know her today, the lady with the snake hair, right? So the best thing about this book was how the character learned and changed throughout the story. In the beginning, she's young, she's naive, she doesn't know anything, and she just believes people at their whatever that they told her. She's never seen the world. She lives on an island with her god family. And the way that she changes and grows throughout the story, and then also it's just her character arc in all that I really, really loved this book for. And it was just very interesting, and I wanted to see what happened next, even though like I kind of know. But yeah, it was really good. I would highly recommend, if you like mythological reading and stuff like that, highly recommend I, Medusa. I thought it was fantastic. Definitely something that, I would read again. It was like one of my favorite books that I think I've read this year. I also gave it 5 stars. No, wait, I gave it 4.5. Interesting. I liked it. Maybe I should up it to a 5, because I think I've been thinking about it a lot. I gave it 4.5. Interesting. Anyway, the next book that I finished was The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. This is one I did on audio as well. This was a pretty long audiobook. I think it was like 15 hours. And I listened to it at other times when I wasn't driving as well. Oh, also the place I was staying and where I was going between Maine was a half an hour, so I had to drive a half an hour each way. So I had lots of audiobook time. But This one was really good. This is a horror suspense thriller, I think. I would call it a horror thriller. What did I label it as? Historical horror. So yeah, it's set in 1912. It has a dual timeline, one in modern times, and then the other one is in 1912. And it is the story of this pastor in Montana who is visited by a Native American, and the Native American is confessing his sins, even though he's a Lutheran and that's not really a thing, but you know, he's a pastor, so he listens to him, you know, in hopes of converting him to his religion kind of thing. And his story is very like paranormal, and he tells his whole life story and how he got to where he is and his connection and the connections between the characters. It comes together. It's very interesting. It's told through journal entries from the man in 1912. That his journal is found in the walls of the church in Montana when it was like becoming a women's shelter. And it was then contacted by this man's granddaughter, who somehow like was working in academia, so she got access to it and was able to read it. And so it's told through those journal entries. And oh, it was really good. I loved it. I don't love horror. There was one part where I was like, I don't like that. Don't like that. But it was really good. I think I gave it 4.25 stars. Very good reading month, by the way. I did have one more disappointing read, which we'll get to, but yeah, it was good. It was very informative as well, of learning about Indigenous people in the United States and what happened then and how life was then, and that kind of thing. And yeah, it was really interesting, and it definitely has that horror, paranormal kind of thought to it. I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. And definitely, like, I kind of saw some of the stuff coming. That's probably why I gave it off a little, 4.25, but I thought it was a great book. It was a great audiobook. I would highly recommend everyone reading it, especially if you are looking for more Indigenous authors. Stephen Graham Jones is an Indigenous author. I actually picked it up because Goodreads has these bookmarks that you can achieve, and to get it, to get one for Indigenous, you had to read an Indigenous book. And so the Buffalo Hunter was my go-to. I did try to get this one in person. I went to a local bookstore, but they didn't have it. They had sold out. So I did end up getting it on audio, and I don't regret that at all. Okay, next book was a physical one, so fantastic me. It was Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. I'm really excited that I was able to finish this one and finish this trilogy for the year. I liked this a lot. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. Yeah, 4.5 stars. This is by Heather Fawcett. I just think it's such a good story, and I'm sad that this world is over and I'm not going to have more adventures with these two characters, Emily and Wendell. Because I want them. I want more. Can you write more, Heather, please? I know you're not watching this, but can you give us a bonus novella or something at least? I just love the stories, and her writing, because it's very magical and atmospheric. And okay, so Fae in this book are not all Fae. They are human Fae. There's animal Fae as well. So when I was going outside to take out the trash, there was little prints from rabbit probably, but I was oh, I wonder what kind of Fae that is. That's the kind of place that books like this take me to. So I really, really love this series. I would highly recommend reading Emily Wilde's series if you haven't already. This one in particular, I can't go in too deep to the actual plot because it'll spoil books 1 and 2, but highly recommend. I love this. Yes, I love that book. I love that series a lot. That would be I don't have a lot of special editions unless the first edition I bought was a special edition. I would buy special editions of that book because I loved it so much. Not necessarily just that book, but the whole series. Okay, next one I read was, okay. So the next one I finished was my more disappointing read of the month, and it was The Love of My Afterlife by Christy Greenwood. I'm not a romance girl. So that already was a strike against it. I could figure out what was happening like from the get-go. It's pretty obvious trope. I think it's supposed to be obvious. So points for like, and this book kind of took all kinds of different tropes from different romances and put them all in together and then basically told you it was doing that, which I gave it points for that because that's funny. But it is, I gave it a 3.5 or a 3.25, I think. Yeah, 3.25. It's just like, I don't know. I've never read anything by Christie Greenwood before, or have I? Have I read a Christie Greenwood? I thought one of my favorite romances was maybe by her. No, that's Alicia Thompson. There's so many names of romance writers and writers in general, but yeah, this was my first Christie Greenwood. If you have any other recommendations that are maybe a little more like substantive, let me know. I felt like the characters were like mid-level deep. You know, we got a little bit of backstory for them of how they are. Didn't quite, the female character, I just really didn't resonate with her. I thought her reasons for being the way she was just kind of stupid. Like, girl, no. And then the male main character also, like, he had his reasons for being the way he was, but, you know, it's kind of like real life, how people might actually act in those situations, but they just didn't quite connect with me. And I didn't find the chemistry in this book to be very palpable. There was one scene that I was like, okay, I can see the chemistry with them with this one. There are some spicy scenes in here. They're not like super explicit, but they're like, okay, now we're doing this kind of thing. I thought it was okay. I gave it points for being ironic. So basically what happens is this woman dies. She chokes on a microwavable burger, which, by the way, who eats those? Is that a thing in the UK? Because this is set in London. I don't think I've ever had a microwave burger. And I'm like, was single for a very long time and was making my own food, and that's the kind of food I was eating. But I've never had a microwave burger. I didn't know that was a thing. But anyway, she chokes on it, she dies. And when she wakes up, she's like in a heaven waiting room, and she meets this man who's supposed to be one of her 5 soulmates, okay? And so the lady who is like processing her for heaven is like, go down to earth, and if you can get him to kiss you within 10 days, then you don't have to die and you can go back. You can live and be on earth. Like, because she was like a sucker for romance novels and she was doing it for her own entertainment, like this heaven processing lady. Which is hilarious. And so basically, like, she was pushing all the buttons to have all these romance tropes come into her life, which I thought was really funny, because it's like just calling it out of what it is, which I appreciate. But I just didn't really connect with the characters. Like, this had potential. If I liked the characters more, I feel like this would have been like more of like a higher 4-star read, but it just really didn't. So it's a 3.25. I gave it like, I think, a 1/4 point for the ironic, but otherwise not my cup of tea. But again, that's why we read diversely. I have like some romance books. This one right here, this is the one I was talking about, The Art of Catching Feelings. I loved this book. I thought it was great. It also is about baseball, and I love baseball, so it kind of makes sense why I liked it. Anyway, I think that is 6 that we've talked about, right? Baby X, Buffalo Hunter, I Medusa, 1, 2, 3. Okay, the last one that I finished on New Year's Eve was The Names by Florence Knapp. This is a trigger warning book. I would definitely highly recommend reading the trigger warnings for domestic abuse and SA. There is, so this starts with a mother and her daughter going to a naming place. I don't know why you don't just name them at the hospital, but maybe there was some issue. There's a snowstorm, baby didn't have a name for a couple days. Not sure how that happens. And here in the US, I'm pretty sure you name them in the hospital, but maybe you don't if you can't decide. I don't know. I'm not having any children. I don't have any children. So not sure. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. But basically this takes place like in the 80s, I think. Yeah, it's like 80s when they have the baby. So maybe it was different in the 80s. I don't know. That's when I was born. So maybe I should know that. I don't know. But basically, like, she has 3 different names that she wants to name him. He could be named after his father, which is not a nice man, and she doesn't really want to do that because she doesn't want the life he has to be dictated by his father. Next is a name that she really loves, Julian. The first one was Gordon, which is a terrible family name. And then Julian, and then her little the big sister says, she says, what would you name her? And she says Bear. And so the other one is naming him Bear. And it basically follows the tragic events of each name that she picked. So it would be like chapter for Bear, chapter for Julian, chapter for Gordon. And that's how it went throughout the book. I thought this was really good. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was definitely like thought-provoking and kind of like the different fates of different characters within the naming structure. So like the fate of one character ended up kind of the same as it would have been anyway, as well as like the other characters, they just got there in different ways. There are a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences in their lives and their personalities of these people. So I thought it was really good. I thought it was a good read. It's not super long, which I also appreciate. It's like just over 300 pages, 316, I think this says. Yeah, 316 pages. And I thought this was really good. This was also a debut novel, which I didn't realize, but it came out in 2025. Really liked it. I thought it was a good book. So that is everything that I read in the month of December. Please let me know in the comments, what did you read? What are you reading in January? Currently, I am reading The Priority of the Orange Tree, starting off so strong. Actually, so that's like an 800-page book, and it is really good. I am loving it, and I'm not mad that it's 800 pages. I'm halfway through, and I'm sad that it's almost over, like that I'm halfway through. That's a crazy thing to me. It is an epic fantasy. I'm also reading Before the Coffee Gets Cold for the Buzzword Challenge, which I will share in another video, which challenges I'm going to be working on this year, which ones I'm not doing, etc. Not really the ones I'm not doing, but the ones I'm doing. And then I also have some other videos coming up where I tell you how I came up with my yearly TBR. And that's in one of those cups up there. And then also how, ranking all of my books that I read last year. So stay tuned for those. Definitely subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys in my next one. Thanks very much for watching.